Hello again, whiskey friends. I'm Darrell, the whiskey saint. Welcome back for another video, guys. What we're going to be doing today is diving into a sample that I got from a buddy of mine, Nate. And this right here, this was actually a pleasant surprise. What we're going to be talking about is a sample of one of the newest releases from K.Luke. It's you're not really going to be able to see it on here, maybe, but it's the Cabernet Finished K.Luke bottle that they just put out. So they released this along with the Barrel Strength Batch 7. And I have a sample of that as well, which we'll maybe be diving into at, a later date. But this Cabernet Finish, me being a finish junkie, was the first thing I wanted to touch, once I got it in. So stick with me, guys. We got it poured up. We're going to dive into it, let you know what I think of it, and maybe compare it to something else. All right. Cheers. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. We are going to just dive right into this. I got it poured up already, and I'm just going to just put that up there. Just look at that. Look at that color. It is absolutely ridiculous. So dark. It's like literally like just red. You could tell there's some heavy influence, or you would think there's some heavy influence from the wine barrel. But yeah, aged a little over 6 months, I believe it says. It's still a blend from K.Luke, so they're still sourcing some Indiana and Kentucky whiskey. And Jonathan over there is doing some work over there blending these barrels, man, because he's doing some crazy stuff over there. A lot of the stuff that I've had from them already has been just phenomenal. So when I heard about a finished product, and when I say finished, I mean like not toasted, we're looking at like a wine finish. I was like, oh, that's right up my alley. I definitely got to try it. And a buddy of mine sent me a sample over here. And for full transparency, I did get into it slightly, about a half ounce. And we poured some more just to kind of review this with you guys now. All right. So we got it up here. We are going to dive in, guys. Give you my honest opinion on what I think this is, if it's worth the pickup. I believe retails about $140 for this bottle. So it's a little up there, but let's dive in, see what I think. So right off the initial nose, this just comes across. I wish we knew the age, but there seems like there's some decent age to it. It's not coming across youthful, with those barrel tannins or like those like pencil shavings sometimes you get, on some younger whiskey. There's some depth to it. Nice oak, but nothing crazy. Like it doesn't come across as like a 10 to 12-year-old whiskey, but it has a lot of barrel influence. And there's no denying the wine, the Cabernet. Like it's all over this. Like it's very berry forward, sweet, get a decent amount of oak, nothing too crazy. Not much spice. Like I can bury my nose in there and it's not going to burn me out. But it's very, very sweet on the nose. A little bit of tangy tartness. Almost like what is that? What is that note? Kind of like a mix between like blackberry, grape, and like tangerine, if that kind of makes a little sense for you guys. But yeah, tangerine is what's giving it that tartness that I'm getting. All right, enough on the nose. We're gonna dive in, guys. Cheers. Whoa. Wow. Okay. Wow. So that first sip, lights up your mouth with flavor. It's it's almost like a grape puree. Like take a bunch of grapes, literally smash them down, sizzle them in like a skillet, and it's like that sense on the nose and on the palate. Like it's not like a super sweet grape, but it's yeah. If you ever seen like an I Love Lucy episode and they're smashing grapes with their feet, it's a similar sensation on the palate of that, like what you think like an older mashed grape would taste like, or kind of like smell like too. And I've had this come across on a couple different whiskeys, but yeah, it just seems like a mashed grape that's been sitting for a bit in a barrel. Yeah, you get that funkiness in the nose too. Let's go in for another sip. Lovely spice, sweet. That blackberry is there. You don't get too much of that tartness, that tangerine that you were getting on the nose. Little bit of tanginess in there, but oh my god, this is just absolutely delicious. Holy crap. Upon like first and even second sip, like this makes me just I don't know if they've made a better product than this, to be honest. As much as I love the barrel strengths, and I still got to go to that 7, that could change my opinion on what I'm about to say now, but I think this is the best thing that K.Luke's put out so far. And that's going off an initial sip prior to tasting this with you guys, and just these 2 sips right now. Like this is killer. Oh my god. And I'm a sucker for finished whiskey, but this is just fantastic. It reminds me, and I mentioned this to a couple people, of the Redwood Haystacks, the higher age MGP finished in, wine barrels or finished in other barrels as well. And I got a request from Mr. Kelsey Dime himself to actually compare the two. So I pulled a bottle of Redwood Empire, and it's the Cabernet finish. It's a 14-year. And what I'll do in a minute is pour that up and just compare the two, because this, as readily available it is right now, because it is still sitting on seal box. It's limited. It's small batch. I think they did maybe 800 bottles of this. I'm not positive, but it's somewhere in that range. Is a little easier to get than these redwoods over here. Once those are gone, they're gone. They're not single barrels, but they are batched as well. But they're a lot harder to get, and they're more expensive. Secondary on these are probably about 250 range, depending on the age statement. You got some of the 15 and the 16 years that are upwards to $300, when this is, the K.Luke 139 bucks, and it's still available, right? Which is a big thing. I'm going to take one more sip, then we're going to pour some of that redwood and just do a compare and contrast. Oh man. Yeah, they definitely don't make a better product than this right here. That's absolutely insane, and I wish I had a bottle. But look, I don't know if you can pick up the legs on there, but it's just literally dripping from the top of the glen all the way back into where the liquid's at. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. Oh my god, super viscous, oily, just everything you want in a whiskey, or everything I want in a whiskey. Let's pour a little bit of this redwood, and I had a glass of water somewhere, which I'm not sure where it's at. So we're just going to go in on this. In colors, pretty similar. The K.Luke is a little darker, which you can see if I hold the mic here. K.Luke's definitely a little darker, not by much, but It's noticeable. So I will say this: nose K.Luke is super grapey. Like it's no hiding it. No hiding it. It's almost that Buffalo Trace grapey. Like not artificial, but just potent. It's like right out there. There's no hiding it. Versus the redwood being slightly muted. And when I say muted, it's not in a bad way, but it's just not as out there as the K Luke. And you still get the MGP vibes on this. You know, that graham cracker, that vanilla, that nice oak, which I like. Definitely get the age on this. You know, it's sweet and funky, which I dig. This one on the other hand isn't like that, but very very good in its own way. You know, so there's a couple things like I like the oak presence on this, that vanilla, that grand cracker that I love on MGP. But this, I love how fruit forward it is and just in your face, just flavor versus the redwood being just a little bit more reserved, you know, and more just classic bourbon with that finish versus being, hey, I'm a finished whiskey, you know, and it's bourbon as well. Like if you can kind of get that analogy, I hope you do. But this comes across way more finished, which I like, versus the redwood just being a little bit more reserved, you know, on that finish side. Trying to see which nose I prefer. I'm oh shit. I may prefer the nose slightly on a redwood, maybe, but I think it's a toss up. Let's just get into a sip on this. Damn. Hmm. I do have a 15-year too, and I think that one actually may be port, but I wanted to compare Cabernet to Cabernet. MGP is just great, man. Like, um, trying to think if I prefer this redwood over the K Luke. This was just as soon as I tasted it, I'm just like, oh, yep, that's MGP. It's great. It's finished. Proof though at 110, you know, is great, but the proof on the K Luke at 121.6 just carries through that mouth and just creates like better mouthfeel. So I'll say I may prefer the palate ever so slightly on the redwood, but the mouthfeel and the finish for sure on this K Luke shines well above that redwood. This is tough, honestly, because this is like half the price and it's available now for you guys versus, you know, trying to search out some Finnish MGP. Let's take another sip of this though. I will say this. Damn. Yeah, that redwood's great. If you're looking more for the conventional side of bourbon in terms of notes and taste that has a finish, redwood, Empire, the haystack needles are going to be what you want. But if you want a finished, and when I say finished, you want a finished bourbon with lovely finished notes and a nice finish, the K Luke is definitely where you want to be. Like this thing is a flavor bomb of just red wine, oak, sweetness, little bit of tartness, tangy, Not much spice on the nose, which I love. Oh, man, like it's literally a toss up. I'm going back and forth now. I said I preferred this, then preferred that. Like I can literally lean either way. If I consider value, right, taking value into perspective, we're looking at the K.Luke all day. It's 139 bucks, 140 bucks. It's available now if somebody wanted to buy it. This Redwood Empire, I got to resort to, secondary, like we mentioned earlier, spending 250, maybe even 300 bucks on one of those bottles when I can literally just hop on a website right now and order as many of these K-Lukes as I wanted if that was the case. Right. So they're available. It is small batched, so we're not sure how long they'll be available, but holy crap, when I say this is good. I wish I actually shot a numerical review on this bottle so we could talk about it, but I can't imagine this bottle scoring under an 85 for me. This is probably, I don't even want to say probably. I think this would have made it into my top 10 and made it into our Whiskey Friends blind battle if I had this bottle, I would say a week or a week and a half ago to actually officially review it. It's that good, guys. I say hop on it, buy it. It's worth a buy. 140 bucks. I know it's a little pricey, for a non-age stated whiskey, but Jonathan Maisano, God, you're doing some crazy stuff over here, blending some whiskey, man. Like this is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, guys. But we're not going to keep it too long. I know it's been a while already. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Sticking with me this far. If you do see this K.Luke, I say it's worth a pickup 100%. It is just darn fantastic. But we're going to leave it at that. Guys, thanks for sticking with me so far. We're going to end this show off with some tunes from Mr. David Collins. Till next time, we'll probably dive into some more blinds and or maybe some more reviews. We shall see. Take it easy, guys. Cheers.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends.